Yo, what's up, y'all? It's the MMA Analyst here to do my picks for TUF 10 season finale. This is like my fifth attempt at this. Some of them lasted 10 seconds, some of them lasted 1 second. One of them got busted up by the phone and I was ranting too much. But as you can see, I'm kind of just laid back. I'm just trying to make it a picks one. I'm going to try to make it quick. I'm probably going to end up ranting a little bit because I hadn't watched any of the season. I hadn't done any like talking about the season, even though I kind of would have liked to. But prior to the season, I had picked Brendan Schaub versus Roy Nelson in the finals. And I don't know if that's somewhere online. I know my people around me in Toronto here, they know I picked. But we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I said it in one of the earlier videos. Somebody let me know if I did. I would like to have proof of that. Roy Nelson versus Brendan Schaub. I'm not really going to talk much about the skill sets. I'm just going to talk about what I saw all season, what I think. Roy Nelson, the best fighter in the house by far, most experienced fighter by far. He went into this house kind of like Matt Danzig, where he was the only fighter with, true experience, except for, Wes Sims. But no disrespect. Anyways, he wasn't going to lose. Simple as that. Now, when he fought Kimbo, Dana was probably not happy about the fact that that was a setup or that was the pick. He wasn't happy with how it happened, and he had to try and help, the Kimbo money train from being derailed. You got 6.1 million people or 5.1 million people showing up just because Kimbo's on TV. You want to keep him coming back, and that's why they suckered all the suckers out there into thinking, oh, he might fight next week. He might fight next week. Come on, man. Anybody online here who was actually looking at Sherdog and stuff knew that Kimbo was fighting in the finale without fighting in against anybody in the house. So he didn't win, but you knew that wasn't going to happen. And you knew he wasn't coming back because there's no way on earth they could say, yo, let's go get Houston Alexander or let's get somebody outside of the TUF house and let's have him fight him. If he lost 2 times in the TUF house, that wasn't going to happen. Kimbo done lost, and Kimbo lost again, and we're still going to put him. They can't do all that now. Damn. So, you had to know he wasn't coming back. Stay tuned next week. The twist that you won't want to miss about Kimbo. For all the suckers out there, y'all got sucker. You know what I mean? The Zuffa hype. The Zuffa hype gotcha? I mean, it's not your fault. The Zuffa hype is good. They've been working for years. So anyways. So now Brendan Schaub won 2 in a row. Dana was like, oh, I don't like him. He's annoying. Da-da-da. Third fight does the exact same thing. A little more damage to dude's face. But same thing. Now that was impressive. Well, what was the turnaround? Oh, because this guy's going to be in the finals on Saturday and you need people to watch and not hate him. You need all of the people who you tricked earlier into hating Roy Nelson. You need them now to somewhat respect him enough to tune in to watch him fight and also watch Kimbo. I can respect it. The hype train trying again, doing its thing. You know what I mean? Without the hype train, where would we be? You know what I mean? Might be out of business. So Brendan Schaub versus Roy Nelson. Roy Nelson wins the fight. Simple as that. I don't know if they'll finish him. I know if he gets him in the crucifix, which he can do, he'll keep him in the crucifix. You got to remember, Roy Nelson's crucifix is centered on holding the opponent down, not inflicting damage. A lot of other guys, their crucifix is focused on doing damage, and then they lose the position a lot. But until Roy Nelson fights like a really good wrestler, a really strong, like really top fighter in the UFC, his crucifix is not going to get escaped. They call it a crucifix for a reason. You get nailed, and you get stuck, and you hang out to dry. So I'm picking Roy Nelson. Matt Hamill versus John Jones. This is going to be ass whooping. Tommy Spear versus Anthony Johnson. Go take a look. Take a look. All right, it's not Roy Jones. Haha. John Jones, R.I.P. Roy Jones. His career, by the way, was finished 2 days ago. John Jones is going to smash Hamill. Hamill's stand-up, I don't care how much it's improved. His wrestling, he's good, but he's a Division III champ. John Jones is going to come out there. He's going to be faster than him, stronger than him, way better striker. I am going to, if he doesn't pick him apart and beat him down in about a 3-minute ass whooping, then I'm going to pick him by Rashad Evans, Sean Salmon, head kick KO. Because every time Matt Hamill throws that jab, he just throws it out and then like totally turns. And it's a lazy jab and he leans into it. And he's gonna go and get caught with it. And get knocked the F out. I like Matt Hamill, I do. I got nothing wrong with him, nothing against him. But John Jones is gonna smash him. And not because John Jones' hype train is running wild, but just because John Jones is better in every aspect of the game. And if not wrestling, then they're equal in wrestling. So, this is going to be a nasty fight. John Jones, after this fight, he's going to get a top dude. Hopefully, he can go out there against, like, Keith Jardine. But I heard Keith Jardine's fighting Ryan Bader coming up. Anyways, Kimbo Slice versus Houston Alexander. If the UFC could have made this the main event, they would have. They went and grabbed Houston Alexander after a 3-fight losing streak in the UFC. I saw some people talking about, they're going to basically give the unwritten rule or the unsaid rule, Houston, keep this fight standing. What are you talking about, man? Houston Alexander is the worst ground game in the UFC or out of the UFC that ever fought in the UFC, and now he's back, and that's why he's back. They know 100% fact that Houston is not going to try and take down Kimbo. And that if Kimbo was this might not be part of the plan, but if I'm ATT and I know he's fighting Houston Alexander, I'm telling Kimbo, F pride. You know what I mean? Like they said in Pulp Fiction, F pride. That's pride just messing with you. Take Houston Alexander's ass to the ground. If Kimbo has that in him, take his ass to the ground, get him on his back, beat him. Simple as that. Boom. Standing up, Kimbo will get knocked out in 15 seconds. And I'm not saying 15 seconds because of what happened the last time he fought somebody who had any idea how to punch. And I'm not talking about Roy Nelson because Roy Nelson wasn't going for the knockout. I'm talking about the little pink-haired dude. He's not even Seth Petrozelli. Anyways, Kimbo is slow. His hands are low. When he says, I'm going to, change levels to bob and weave, he drops his whole body. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's not a good thing. Like, that ain't how you do it, man. It's just a little slip. Slip. You want to move the head. If a guy's punching, you just got to move it that much. You don't got to move your whole body to one side or the other. Houston Alexander by no means is a world champion, but he will knock Kimbo out in 21 seconds. That is my prediction. 21 seconds if Kimbo goes out there and tries to box. Simple as that. Houston Alexander on his back, Kimbo can win. Houston Alexander and Kimbo fighting, standing up, Kimbo's got no shot. I mean, he's got a puncher's chance, but he's a slow-ass puncher. Now, again, let me go back to why they brought in Houston Alexander. A, he has no chin. B, he has no ground game. And by no chin, I know he took a punch from, what's his name? Jardine and fought through it. But I'm just saying, in comparison to a good chin, he definitely does not have that. So if Kimbo can tag him, he can knock him out. And he doesn't have to worry about the ground game. This is one of the only fighters I can think of. And they're making, by the way, Kimbo fight at a level, at a very good weight for Kimbo. This is all for Kimbo. 215. That means Kimbo's going to be big, but he's going to be slender. Houston Alexander. He normally fights at 205. He's a big guy anyways, but he's not going to be fighting where he normally fights. This is all for Kimbo. So that they can do MMA math and say, one day, hopefully, they can say, Kimbo, and this would be probably Joe Rogan, Kimbo Slice took out a dangerous opponent with a win over top Light heavyweight Keith Jardine. Kimbo is for real. Kimbo is for real. This guy is for real. That's what they want to say. And then no matter what happens, they can go. Kimbo can lose 3 in a row, but people will watch because they'll say, last time Kimbo fought, Kimbo came out. He went with one of the most dangerous strikers in the division. That's going to talk about Houston Alexander. And he took him out. I have no problem with any of this. This is the only thing that they can do for Kimbo. They can't put Kimbo against any heavyweight in the UFC, and they can't put Kimbo against any light heavyweight in the UFC. They got to go outside of the UFC and get somebody who will not take Kimbo to the ground, who could get knocked out because he has a suspect chin. And I like the matchup. Kimbo versus Houston Alexander for 30 seconds, 21 to be exact. This fight is going to be great. Frank Edgar versus Matt Veach. Let's make it quick. Matt Veach. Frank Edgar wins the fight. Too much. If Veach can come out with the win here, I'll be surprised as hell. Hopefully, Edgar just does what he's supposed to do, gets his fight to the ground, and it's probably just going to be a grind out of maybe a first round or second round TKO. Marcus Jones versus Matt Mitrione. Man, if I was doing predictions, I mean, it's not like this was difficult. It's not like this is a difficult season to predict. But if I was doing predictions, I would have looked like a genius. Dude's hands are terrible. They're as bad as you can get. Marcus Jones, he kind of like comes at you and he doesn't try and punch you. He kind of pushes away at the same time with 2 hands. And even though he's tall, his hands will be like a little lower. So anybody that's above 6'1", which Schaub is, and anybody that can punch, which Schaub can, will just come over the top of those 2 Frankenstein arms and knock him out. Now Matt Mitrione, will Mitrione win this fight? Will he be able to do what Schaub did? I'm gonna say no. Matt Mitrione, he's going to come out here. He's going to try and throw some punches. I think I think Marcus Jones will get the takedown. And I think he'll be able to control Mitrione. He's been able to control everybody, basically, that wasn't a half-decent fighter. Brandon Schaub is a half-decent fighter. That's why he was able to get into the hot water and get out. Because he wasn't just flailing around. He didn't get on his back and just start kicking his legs or going crazy and panicking. He was composed and he was able to get out of the bad positions. Matt Mitrione will not be able to do those things, I believe. Marcus Jones will get a first round TKO from the ground. On the undercard, do I really even have to talk about a few of these? Let's just say I'm going with Justin Wren over John Madsen. I'm going with James McSweeney in a whack-ass fight over Titties. And then we'll get to Dennis Hallman, who has 2 wins over. This is one of the most, things that people aren't, maybe they don't know, but, Dennis Hallman, 2 wins over prime Matt Hughes. It's very strange. Other than that, dude hasn't been able to do a whole lot. He's a vet. He moves around. He fights a lot of guys, but he's never been, at that level. And somehow he managed to beat 2 prime Matt Hugheses, or at least Matt Hughes twice in his prime. Anyways, against John Howard, I'm going to go with John Howard. Brian Stann against Rodney Wallace. I'm going to go with Brian Stann. And then we've got Mark Bocek against Joe Brammer. I'm going to say F Joe Brammer. That's right. I would say no disrespect, but I don't mean it. Disrespect. F Joe Brammer. People don't even know who Joe Brammer is? Okay, that's fine. Don't know. I'm just going to say that anybody who gets, sponsored by this hoe-ass sponsor that he's being sponsored by. By the way, I'm almost 100% sure. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want these hoes to get any kind of whatever. There's also a few other UFC fighters. One who I believe I mentioned in this fight, in this prediction, who is also sponsored by these hoe-ass punks. There's a WEC fighter sponsored by him, and then there's a bunch of neo-Nazi bands and whatnot that are also sponsored by these whole punk-ass losers. So, I understand that Joe Brammer wants some money, and I understand that he wants to get sponsored, and I respect anybody who's trying to get paid legally. But there are other guys that I'm sure would have paid you. You choose to go down this punk-ass hoe road, then I'm going to just say F Joe Brammer and F the rest of the dudes that are sponsored by those punk-ass hoes. Y'all don't even know. This isn't about me trying to say something about, like, go check out this guy's site. If you figure it out and you find it out, that's cool. This is about me making a statement. I do not support decisions like this one, or companies like the one that he has decided to wear on the shorts. And what the F does the UFC know? You know, they're telling RVCA, I think that's the name, that, you know, they're banned from the UFC just because they sponsor Fedor, and Dan Henderson's clinch gear was just banned from the UFC just because Dan Henderson didn't sign the contract. But they're going to let these neo-Nazi supporting, race baiting losers in the UFC on the shorts? Now, if it comes down to it and Joe is not being sponsored by these dudes anymore, well, then all this rant meant nothing. Anyway you look at it, I'm picking Mark Bocek by submission. MMA, it's important, y'all. K1's tonight. It's going to be tight. Peace.